It was just like yesterday. I remember. I remember my father taking me to go to the MEP station or to the recruiting station in preparation for me to go into the military for the first time. It was 1979. It was May 1979. And my own mother didn't know I was going into the military. My father knew. My mother was shocked. I almost gave my mother a heart attack. She was that shocked. But next thing you know, it was time for me to go into the military. I didn't know what to expect. I was not prepared for all the screaming and hollering from the drill sergeants. I just swore I would never be a drill sergeant. Who would succumb? Who would put themselves in a position to be hollered at? But yet and still, I went on an airplane for the first time. I had never been out of Queens, New York, but I went on my first airplane ride, and I went to Alabama. Of all places, I went to Alabama. There again is 1979. Things were different then as they are now. It was Alabama in 1979. All right? Then it was time for me to go. The next thing you know, I went on the airplane, and I went. And next thing I was on Alabama soil, and I'm on a bus. And the bus pulls up to where we're going to be hollered at for the first time. And what a ride it was. So the bus stopped, and the doors opened, and a drill sergeant got on the bus. And he hollered something at us that I don't want to repeat what he said, but he calls us everything but a child of God. And he told us to get off the bus. Everybody got off the bus. Lock, stock, and barrel. We all ran off the bus. We were scared to death. Then he had us run to where he began to pounce on us, all of us. And lo and behold, I, of course, was the tallest person on the bus. I had one of the deepest voices, so of course I was singled out. He dropped me instantly. He said, "Get on down and do some push-ups." And I could do a few. Not compared to what I could do later on, but I could do a few. He pointed to the ground, and I did 10 push-ups super quick. But that's not what he wanted. He wanted me to do 20 push-ups, because each one, time he counted, each repetition counted as 2 push-ups. So when I did 10, I was really doing 20. It would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3. He counted 10 like that. So you can do the math for yourself and realize that when I did 10, I did more than 10. And so we operated that way. And at that moment, I was 21 years old, and I swore that, my God, I will never be a drill sergeant. I will never be a drill sergeant. He had us take off our shirts, because we were in uniform. He had us take off our green shirts. We had a belt, some slacks, and some boots. And he said to us, in our white shirts, he said, "I want all of you to fall into formation right here." We didn't even know what a formation was. He said, just line up, you freaking yardbirds. Just line up right here. We did. We lined up. And then he began to run us. He said, "Keep it with me and run." So we jogged really fast. And we ran with him. It felt my goodness, it felt like we were running 5, 6, 9, 10 miles. So we got back, we ran around, we all stopped, we all said, Trilson. We had nerve to even speak to the drill sergeant. Can you believe that? We mustered up the nerve to speak to him. We all said, Trilson, that must have been 5 miles. It felt like 5 miles. He turned to us and he said to us, in the English I can't now repeat, he said, "You freaking yardbirds, we didn't even run 1 mile." It was the toughest non-5 miles we ever ran. There again, I said to myself, ain't no way in the world I'm going to be a drill sergeant after this. But lo and behold, this was 1979, and I'm in Korea now. I went, and I'm thinking like, I volunteered for this. I wanted to be a military policeman. More or less, I wanted to be a military police dog handler. And you had to be selected to become a dog handler. It was monumental and minus that I would ever be a dog handler. But lo and behold, at the end of our journey, at the end of 6 weeks, I was told, hey, Private Saunders, believe it or not, you have been selected to be a military police dog handler. I was like, oh my goodness. Not realizing that I still had to do another 17 weeks of military police school. I had to learn all about assaults and theft and crime, and I had to learn all that stuff. But I went through 17 more weeks. Then it was time for me to go on leave. I went on leave for 45 days. 45 days of freedom. So I got on a plane and I returned to New York for 45 days. And then it was time for me to return back to Alabama. No, it was not time to go back to Alabama. It was time for me to go to, it was time for me to go to Alabama. Then from Alabama, I went to Lackland Air Force Base. That's in San Antonio, Texas. I flew there. First time flying to Texas. I flew there. And I went to Lackland, Texas, to go to MP Dog School. That's my wife. She's talking. She's saying something. But anyway, I returned to Lackland Air Force Base, and I finished it all. I actually went through it, and I graduated. And then it was time to take my dog on an airplane again, without leave. I took my dog to Utah, then to Seattle. And the first time I went to Seattle, it rained. I was in Seattle for an overnight. Then it was time to go to Alaska. Then it was cold as I don't know what. My dog looked up at me and he said, man, you know it's cold out here? I turned and looked at my dog. I said, buddy, I know it's cold out here. So after going to Alaska, we then went to Japan. We were in Japan for a night. Very colorful. First time I was ever able to see color like that. Vibrant color. First time I was ever in a foreign country. I walked around Japan. It was nice. Then it was time for me to go to Korea. It was time for me to go to Korea, and I went to Korea, and it was cold. And I'm going to end my story right here because I got more to come. But that was my initial entry into the military police world. I learned a bunch. And you're going to learn a bunch from my story time as I share with you.